All right, so we've never actually done the roll call in our new positions yet, so we're also new to what we're doing. Tammy is new as a co-chair again, but most of us are still new, so welcome, Michael. And, roll
I have
call.
no idea what's going on, so
Hey,
that's fine.
we're learning as we go. So, I just say everyone's name and then you say that you're here. So, Kamala, yeah, Birgit,
Yes.
Carson,
Here.
Sharon's not here. Michael,
Here.
and me. Cool. And then it's the approval of the agenda. Did everyone still have the agenda from the last email? Did a chance to look over it? We kept it the same as of last meeting. If anybody wants to add anything or change anything, this is the time to do so. We're good. Okay. And then reports. Coaches first. I don't have any. Welcome. Welcome back to. Welcome, we're all here. Did I jump back to roll call for that then?
No, I think we just make another email. Sorry.
Or thing?
No, I'm very good. That's me too.
Did you have anything you wanted to add to the thing, Sharon, before we move on to reports? To the agenda or change anything on the agenda?
No.
Okay. Not much to report. I think we've been trying to chase down some of the flop things as it's happening, but a lot has happened since we haven't met. So a lot of yeah, a lot of things have changed and or is going through. They had their meeting last night, so that would be the only thing that I would say has been cool. So we could be paying attention to as it evolves, but. Yeah.
I didn't know if you wanted to do the update now or when we got to
Yeah, I'm not sure. Probably best to save it for when we get to the whole thing, but that would be the big one. Does anyone else have anything they want to report? Any reports from staff?
Just to have some patience from the council staff, we're super understaffed right now, but hopefully they're working to try to hire someone part-time in that attorney spot. And then get some more people on the team, so hopefully by the summertime, there's a little bit more support, but.
And if there's anything we can do is, we're learning how to keep these things going, let us know.
Thank you.
And then public, but I don't think we have anyone popped in there. Good. Okay, old business. The first thing would be the LEAP study and actions that Isabel Piedmont Smith have been working on. And that the last time we had chatted, Isabel had presented to us all the findings that she had been working on and all the things she had been learning as she was going to conferences to learn about alternatives to 911 and or alternatives to helping people through the 911 services. So I think there were some documents in our thing about that work, but then also there was money set aside for a study into our actual 911 calls so that they could go through it all and figure out what steps could be taken or how many times people are being sent for the wrong thing, or if there's ways to like hopefully in the future use that to then funnel a different system into the 911 dispatch.
you have a question.
No, just part of the agenda.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure everybody knew where we were at.
So that was what we had been talking about a lot with Isabella, and also as a commission, helping support that however we can, whether that be public, engaging in public comment as a commission, creating other ways to communicate with the public about how this affects public safety. Isabel did email with news that they're gonna work on two deliberation sessions on September 9th and October 21st to engage the public on the topics of what is public safety and how can the city government best achieve public safety in Bloomington. And she said that she would love our help on planning those and or helping her make those happen through the commission. So I have not responded to her on that, but I figured she would have been, she's our advocate, our city council advocate. So something we can talk about in the next one, how we can help her with that after we respond and get some more details on what that looks like, because we've talked about doing a public forum about the dispatch or public safety again to figure out how the public is feeling, and then we can then digest that and present it as a commission.
Are the finances to do that study, that loop study, like granted already? Is that in motion?
There was a thing at the end of the year last year that was expiring. There was money set aside in the budget and it was expiring. And then it was pushed through before the budget expired. So that money is funded and I think it's begun, or at least it will begin in the next couple of months, maybe. I know it's a slow start.
Yeah, it's supposed to start in April.
April, okay, yeah, because last time that yeah, so they have the money for it and they can contract the people to do it. And so we should start seeing some information and or some at least direction of which way that's going. So, fingers crossed. So yeah, helping Isabel, be announcement with that would be awesome. I don't know what that means, but I think we'll figure that out as we meet, and then that gives us a direction to continue helping her and engaging the public on it, so. Does anyone have anything they wanna talk about with the loop study?
I'm just excited to actually see it come to fruition.
Yeah.
Because we've been working on this for a long time to get them involved or get someone involved and especially like with the recent incident that happened. I know somebody asked about the recent incident and what could something different have been done, and with this being done and Lee being involved, we'll be able to see if maybe something different might have been able to have been done with the response.
Which recent incident are you referring to?
That when the woman barricaded herself in her house.
Yeah, there's a news story about it. She threatened her partner with some knives. He left. The police department like sent in drones to the window, and there was a pretty extensive response from what seemed to be. So they could have been handled much more nicely.
Is that the one that was labeled as the alerts were out there, there was like a armed hostage thing?
I don't know, so the man had left. She was buried knives, right? But it wasn't a gun and it wasn't, he had already exited and then the police showed up. So I don't think there were hostages involved.
Sure. I just remember seeing something about, but that was on that weird app, the Nextdoor app, where they're like, there's an active hostage in there area, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
But it was, I didn't find anything else on it.
Yeah, she was tear gassed, I believe.
I'm not sure what all the steps are in the response, but I also know that there are steps that have to take place in the response for the police and the crisis response team to, like, a crisis responder can't go into a situation where there are weapons involved on their own. So there has to be someone that's armed in certain situations that the responder can't go into alone. So I don't know what the situation was, in the outlook before they went in. So that is why we need to be involved, so we can see what happened in situations like this, and maybe in this situation, so we can assess situations, so we know for sure what's going on and what kind of response we need in these situations, and in situations in the future, so we know what is the best response. So that's why we do need leaders to come in.
Yeah, and that also, in Isabel's study, there were like different cities that had different response teams that happened. So there were some that were like through the police, others that were outside of the police, others that like worked together, and there was lots of other things that like Isabel was exploring those, and that's where this study will help kind of push maybe that we could use a different service, or we could build in a different thing, but also we have Stride in town, which we talked about at extent. And I think their marketing campaign has been working a lot.
Yeah.
I've seen it on social media and things. So I know that that's like one of the options that Isabel had been looking at as potentially incorporated, somehow figuring out how to incorporate that into our emergency response for things that could be for them versus the police. So
Well, excuse me, Kel, do we have, do you know this data that's
started this month supposedly.
just this one?
Yeah, so that was it was a couple months out before they could get started, so we don't have too much yet, but
I see.
so.
Okay. So we can't really, there's not enough to,
They're in the process now of going over the data and accessing it. They haven't done it yet.
okay.
But this should be included in the data.
Yeah, no problem.
You're saying in the timetable, it says months 3 and 4 analysis and stakeholder learning. I wonder if we could have an opportunity to talk with them at that point when they've learned some data and gathered some. Are we stakeholders?
That's what I was wondering.
Right?
Yeah, because, I mean, I presume we wouldn't have to wait for 7 months until it's finished.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
I would hope we have some input maybe,
Yeah, it's possible.
ideally.
We'd also talked about bringing a dispatcher in, but I know that they're understaffed and struggling to fill the other dispatch roles too.
Wow, yeah,
But those two things would be nice to have as we engage with the public.
We could compose a letter now about the things that we would like to see as stakeholders. Say that we would like we would like to be stakeholders and the things that we would like to see.
It also does say that they'll have check-in meetings once every 3 weeks. Do you know, does anyone know if we're able to go to those at all? Or
Because of the situation, no, I'm not trying to disparage you all because it's not your fault, but because of this situation with staffing, we have kind of been left out on our own and out on in the blue, so I don't really know what's going on with the situation. We kind of been forgotten in the situation. So, and even before that, it's really hard to get through to the mayor's office.
Is Isabel, would that be our appropriate channel to ask to get?
We can definitely try.
Yeah, because I had all looking at right, yeah, from Isabel, we could respond to that as a first step to be like, where can we jump in, or how can we become stakeholders in the process as it goes?
Oh, and another, thing to consider, another organization is Stride.
Yeah.
They should, I don't know, they should be in on this, they should.
I'm sure originally, we were the stakeholder that sought out people, and then the mayor's office took over, of course, and like we were invited to the table, and then we got this email, and then there was a readjustment in the way that things are done with like how we're doing staffing and things like that, the communications and things like that aren't very good now. And so,
I have a catch up. So I imagine Stride will be a part of it. As
I'm
things start
sure
to come out,
Stride is-
yeah, I imagine they're somewhere in there, but maybe that's like our last.
Because they are an alternative to 911 calls.
Yeah, and
It's
they're-
already there.
Well, that's the one that Isabel pitched as well to us already, as the one that they're going to hopefully consider as like a model and or the organization that they can work with. Once that's decided, but they're in the process of the 911 breakdown first before moving forward, if that makes sense.
okay, it just seems like. It should be mentioned in the report, okay.
They're comfortable, dude.
Okay. But they also are saying they haven't done the analysis yet, so they can't say that
And
Stride is agency yet, because they haven't done their analysis yet. So they're looking at the agencies and organizations that are available. So they can't come at the beginning and say Stride is the agency that's gonna be the one that is doing it if they haven't had the chance to look at everything yet and evaluate them.
Yeah, because the study is of our 911 calls, not of the Stride calls. Stride would be the after, how we can incorporate their services into our 911 versus having two separate phone numbers and or building in a. So I imagine they're definitely gonna be a part of the information in the end and or like a section of information because they take calls. But they're not like, we're studying our dispatch and what percentage of our dispatch would be better for an alternative, which would be Stride in the end, or a city created contract and or a contracted thing.
Okay.
So.
Would it? I'm so sorry, very new to all.
No problem.
Would it make sense to assign one of us to be a point person to engage about this, or?
I don't know, how we have to operate is kind of interesting. We can't really have like communications. You can have like emails with Isabel on your own and like, but also when you're. Like if we respond to this email with all of us in it, we'd have to do it together during this meeting. Does that make sense? From what I understand, right? There's like some weird forum, open door stuff that starts to get confusing.
And that was the issue we had at the beginning of the year with sending the letter to the mayor, yeah. I think it was that, like, a person can't operate independently as like an arm of CAPS when they're, like,
We can't send
non-necessary times, yeah.
You can't speak for caps.
Okay,
It's like
As a solo.
It's like we could reach out as like a non-CAPS member while we're not in CAPS meetings, but like, we can't represent CAPS and I think.
Yeah, unless it's been approved by all of us during a meeting. And it's been. Open door.
Yeah.
Visible, that makes sense. Okay. So it makes it a little tricky.
But I think if we
And
plan
like,
out what we want
I-
to send now.
I've been talking to her about this because I, along with the person named Najla, started this project.
Mhm.
And, so, like, that's how it has been working, and so she has, like, we helped her find organizations to research originally.
Okay.
And, so when she has gotten information, she passes it our way. So that's why we are able to pass this information on to you that you're getting right now. So. I mean. It's just, I don't wanna say there's politics involved in the way that there's.
Bureaucracy, really, yeah. Sure. We're navigating it while also participating in that, so
Maybe, sure.
maybe we do wanna respond to Isabel's email as a group today, just as like we're down to help however.
That's why I was saying that we could write an email and say that we would like to be stakeholders, and we could say the things that we'd like to see as stakeholders.
And I'll work on picking up a little class thing.
Or,
So we would get the information as soon as possible.
Or while it's happening, potentially.
I can't say that we would get it as soon as possible because things don't move on our time.
But,
Okay.
It would be as soon as the person that had the information felt like we deserved to get it.
or it can be released. I imagine they're not gonna wanna like put stuff out before it's actually like all set in stone. They're like, okay, we understand our data. Now we can share with people. So I imagine they probably get it at the same time as a lot of people, but
That, okay, that's fair. So, that's fair. I mean, we probably couldn't use it until it's cleaned up.
oh yeah, I mean, it'd be nothing, it would just probably look like a labyrinth to us, where it's like, they do their job of making it accessible visually and, data-wise, so I imagine it'll come to us, or if we ask the.
Oh, once we're approved, like if it's approved that we're a stakeholder, then once we're allowed to communicate, then we will give us the information, once it's approved, then.
Okay, quick email. So hello Isabel, thank you for your counsel and work on these matters. We would love to help engage the public and help however moving forward with those sessions. We are also interested in the lead data as it becomes available to those working on it, if possible, to help guide our sessions in support of the research. Simple.
Do we want to specifically request to be considered stakeholders?
I think we should do that.
Okay.
So do you know if there'll be, I'm not sure if it's written here, but can we become privy to the meetings they have every 3 weeks? Or,
Oh, so the.
yeah, they're checking the meetings
Sure.
every 3 weeks.
Something like. We. If you're invited to the thing, how would you say?
Privy, consider, I mean, I'm not sure,
And
Included,
if we can,
Yeah.
okay.
on my grade,
like,
like,
they should be a bit vague and
yeah,
whatever they.
whatever they're
capacity
willing to
think
do,
they do,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and consider us a stakeholder.
Okay. Then the last sentence says. We would like to be considered stakeholders as a commission, and if we could be included in the updated meetings. I don't know, I'm bad at English, so. I'll just change the language then, okay. Window access, the update. Access, okay, that's the one. I'll read the whole thing again. Thank you for your counsel and work on these matters. We would love to help engage the public. However we can moving forward with these deliberation sessions. We are also interested in the leak data as it becomes available to those working on it, if it is possible to. If it is possible, help guide our sessions in support of the research. We would like to be considered stakeholders as a commission and also attend or access the update meetings throughout the process. Okay.
Please let us know if there are any other ways we can support this endeavor. Writing by committee is a pain. Thank you for putting it together.
Who is this lead group? What do we know about?
Law enforcement access.
I think it's a good question, who's actually gathering the data?
That's them.
Is it a private group
It's a
or?
contractor.
There's a contractor.
Okay,
So it was the one that was, you all wanted, right?
Yeah.
So that was the one that was like
so they were.
It was the group that the CAP commission did research on and selected.
That's good.
There's research on them in our documents in the drives and stuff
Okay,
that we presented on.
I see. That's good, that's comforting.
Yeah,
To know that they work at it.
yeah, we did research and we presented a presentation on them and everything. So there's stuff in the drive and everything.
Okay.
We have a drive.
Yeah.
And you should have been given access to it. But also that was a task that,
The staff,
yeah,
Yeah.
that they're strong and stepped in on.
they will do it right.
Thank you.
Ask them to email. Cool. Hopefully we'll see how we can be helpful. I still think having a dispatch person would be cool to come speak to us, but we'll figure out when that fits into the process, I guess, because we'll just.
We can still, I mean, I'm not sure about it, can still have a dispatch person. I'm not sure what would stop it, but you know, a dispatch person gonna take the.
It'd be cool, because
Is that something that we want? I don't see what would stop. That.
Would you, is it okay if I ask? And I think it's a good idea. Why? Why do we want to, what would we be looking for out of that conversation?
insight to their working. Cause I know that the problem, that one of the requests of this whole process has been to have dispatch who are also trained, who are not police trained, they're, what's the other word, social workers, or in the social field versus the carceral field. So I know that that was the goal of getting two social workers into dispatch. I don't think they've successfully gotten both of them in there yet. But that was part of the like previous plan with the LEAP and all the other things that had been built by the commission or advised by the commission, but also Isabel had been working on in this like subject field, but I don't know.
Were those positions approved and just being filled?
Yeah.
They have social workers working,
They have, I know they hired one.
so in one,
That's what I heard the last time, but that was 5 months ago when we heard.
I don't know if they had filled the other.
Cause they're still, every time I talk to someone about it, they're still very stressed out about the quality of, or like keeping people in that position because it is.
Very stressful job.
Yes. And they haven't figured out how to pay or like there's, the quality of the person's job is what they're having struggling with, I guess, is what I understood. But we could ask those questions. You can see how they can be supported, so. Do you want to try to do that, at the next meeting and or like whenever they're available within a couple meetings?
Yeah.
If we were to ask someone to come to a meeting, how would we go about that? Would you all facilitate that for us, or would we be reaching out?
We can, we can ask, or confirm.
Cool, yeah. Maybe we'll-
Also, we don't have access to that drive, so if that was something that Lisa already did.
Yeah.
We might have to figure
Um,
that out
Okay,
after.
yeah. We only got to meet them like once plus,
I think, only I can have, it has,
Who's the
the
owner?
manager is council of Bloomington, Diane.
Oh,
So
so
we count.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Or, Lisa Laner at Bloomington, Diane.
What's the name of the holder of the share?
Caps Commission.
Yeah, let me do that.
We were looking at our own accounts, not the council account, so that was super good, thank you.
Originally, they had it where we could do it. And then they changed it.
I was being at the door, I lost it. Does anyone have anything else they want to talk about with the week, or questions or things that?
It's just whatever they can give us.
Yeah, hopefully Isabel's very fast to respond in there. I feel like we're very in there,
You know,
in the processes of everything, so. Questions on them? Okay, well, then that moves us on to the new business, which was new 3 months ago, which, a lot has happened, so. The council members, at that point, the council members had introduced a resolution, it was like 2026-4. A resolution establishing immediate transparency limits and a public review process for automated license plate reader technology in Bloomington. And then its deadline, one of the deadlines in there was for the mayor and the police chief to provide a full report of transparency. And that was yesterday, so that happened yesterday.
I can give the updated report.
There you go, dog.
The contract was not renewed
With the license plate reader providers.
with law.
Yeah.
The contract was not renewed.
Okay.
From months ago. Right?
No, they just made this call as of yesterday, but I think the contract was already up. And now they're letting us know that they're not renewing it.
Yeah, they're not renewing the contract.
So,
Yeah, they expired like 2 months ago.
yeah, but they're still active.
They still have to phase it out. And like that will be going on through like spring break, and not spring break, through Little 500 weekend.
Yeah, because they're gonna keep using them for the safety of Little 500.
Hmm.
But there are certain things that they won't check for,
Yeah,
and
they put limitations.
so yeah, they put limitations on what they'll check for. And then they won't buy any more block cameras. And that they won't make any inquiries that have to do with reproductive health, immigration status, gender identity, sexual orientation, or directly through proxy indicators.
Have they been doing those?
So Block as a company, has. And people have used their data for those things across.
Oh.
There's not been transparency of that company specifically on how they were, who they would sell us to and or how it was being accessed.
Yeah,
So that's where they've never, they're like, we're secure. You can choose how secure you are. You can choose what's done. You can put limitations on things. And yet most independent auditors and or tech people who have been following the company and the case can hack it
Mm.
and know everything, like,
Cause once the data exists.
yeah, the data exists, anyone can
Yeah,
access it.
yeah.
Which is what the problem was, that was the main thing with Flock as a company, was that they weren't secure and they were unwilling to prove that
Mhm.
to their consumers. And then they were being, used by ICE
Mhm. Okay, yeah,
to, target specific populations and demographics of people, which bring me along, you know, it's
Yeah.
fascism 101. So,
and is this why the city canceled the contract, or does it renew the contract?
so the city, we were, for the last few months, there was a lot of, conversations post the resolution and also the protest and, there were many community spaces where the mayor spoke on it.
Yeah.
Without saying one or the other, like, they want to continue to use something because she does believe public safety is involved in those. But also was like, I understand that civil liberties are also at risk.
Yeah.
So they're doing a bit of this and
Yeah.
from the thing last night, I feel like a lot of people left somewhat more confused on how we plan on phasing them out.
Okay,
But they're like, it's very written out, but also they're still on, and when they're still on, that data is still being taken. And supposedly that data is just for us now,
Yeah.
but that's the main
I see,
thing that researchers are coming up against is that it's just not secure.
okay,
But also they just changed their terms and conditions allowing private companies to buy that information from them, that they would sell the information to private firms for purchase.
So they're back.
So that's still,
sorry.
that's still possible, Block is selling
Yes,
information.
I think they'll work
That's
with anyone there.
That's their own policy.
Yeah, that's their policy.
But then I think the city wants to continue to have something of sorts. But I think there was also a lot of misunderstanding of the thing that they had purchased. So I think that's the next step in, I think, public opinion work is that they're going to, and also the council's resolution does include, when they spoke, the point of the resolution was to get transparency on this and then also to encourage that we have legislation to then control how surveillance is utilized in the community for the city and all. So hopefully the councils work on that and then, because when they presented it, it was a very nice thing to hear, because they're like, oh, they want to create long-term legislation that stops us from ever getting into that with a company that would sell our community out or harm us even when our community or our city doesn't want that to be done. So
Yeah,
It would be interesting to collect information on, so I'm assuming when the municipality engaged with Flock, that there was an RFP or an RFI that defined the requirements or interests that we had as Bloomington for this service that then Flock responded to, and then we came up with a contract, right? It's pretty standard. Would we be able to get access to what that RFP or RFI was? What is the city of Bloomington? Why did we go to Flock in the first place? What were we looking to accomplish?
public safety, I would imagine is what they would.
Sure, but I imagine there had to be bullet points to that, right?
specific,
But a specific directive, right, it's.
Yeah.
I know the contract has been made public, because it was redacted pretty heavily from when but it was denied multiple times. Across public requests, which was another alarm for a lot of people being like, why? It's like, and then it was released and there was redactions. I don't know what an RFI or anything is, but I imagine you could look that up and you would understand better.
Yeah, is it, so from the city's perspective, right, like, is it possible to access those procurement documents or that contract, how that began? I mean, I would assume like, it just seems like our commission focused on public safety. It would be interesting for us to know what it was the city was asking about relating to public safety and why we went with Flock in the first place.
You can get it,
Yeah.
probably, if it's available, we can access it.
Yeah, and I think you can make those requests as well too. Anytime there's like a,
Yeah, as a person of the public, you can request.
yeah,
Awesome, okay, correct. I imagine that this group can do it a lot better than I can.
Are you aware, is anyone aware of other companies that do this that are, sort of have more integrity, more security?
I'm not, no.
Or maybe take the data differently, maybe,
Well, it's like, it's weird to want data when it's like, I don't know, you want the license plate for when a crime is committed and then you can check in on it. But then you're like, collecting data, physical data is weird, but I don't know of any company that is ethical or has more integrity in the surveillance, well, I imagine there are many, but also it's like closed circuit things exist. I'm not a tech person, so.
We could look into it before our next meeting and have it be like a report or just like, if anyone has any ideas, what they look into. Because if we're looped into them, the week meetings, maybe we can have fun.
And I think if they're gonna choose something, it's helpful to know. If we can advise them.
That
on
would be
choosing
great
something
if
better,
we
yeah.
could see that original document that you're talking about before the next meeting. That's a great idea.
Yeah, because it depends on what they're looking for. Is it, if they're saying, if they're specifically saying, well, we want to be able to track license plates.
It's all crime, baby.
Okay, right, but like. Is it, no, we wanna be able to follow, but depending on what we're asking for, there might be other solutions besides full-time 24/7 remote surveillance that's cloud-based.
Well, there was like, there is an article that said the things that they searched for, because it even said the officers that searched and when the hours they searched and everything, it was that detailed. So if they can get that specific and say like the officers that searched and when they searched for the thing, then I mean, that has to be what they were looking for.
Yeah, is the use of this system and how it was used public knowledge?
I mean, it was in an article that I was able to read online.
And then there's
They have the resolution.
they have a resolution and also the memo,
Yeah.
the flop memo that came out after yesterday's, the memorandum.
Okay.
Attached to our agenda is the link to the Commission on Sustainability Resolution for Flock. And they have a few pages. I've been trying to read through it a little bit, and there's like a little portion about, a little bit about why they chose Flock, but then mainly the next steps of it.
When I think Fox was just presenting, they went on a rapid, as a company, they were like, we want to provide this to everyone, so they went to each municipality.
Proactively, yeah.
Plugged into a lot of places very fast. So. I don't think a lot of people did or are capable of doing tech due diligence, because it's such a new field. So that's where I think the reverse creating legislation around it is very, very secure and helpful to me.
And does anyone know why the Committee on Sustainability or Commission on Sustainability included those?
I was on the meeting, yeah. I think theirs was about, like, they included it for public safety is each thing, but what was did we get that one, or did you read?
I was not, but on the memorandum, they have that the Commission on Sustainability is to promote and advance sustainable policies, and they reference the UN development goals. I was just lost on this.
I was at the meeting and, I think they're just wanting to take action. And that's where it's like, at least the commission did, cause that's what I was trying to back. We were gonna co-sign it with them before to shove it through, help them with gathering, but we didn't get to meet about it, talk about it. I went to the meeting and spoke as a member of the public and read a statement from a bunch of people. But it was nice to see a group of people concerned about it, because also it went through hand. It was another commission that approved the flock cameras originally through the Board of Police. It didn't go through city council, and it didn't go through, because it wasn't required to. From what I read,
It just seems like, I don't know, it has to do with sustainability. I'm just,
sustainability is, keeping Bloomington sustainable as a town still too. So I think there's sustainability is a loose enough thing. You can say, if you want people to live here, that's creating sustainability. If you I think there's plenty of ways to say it's sustainable.
Yeah, they have pillar of sustainability encompasses equity, justice, democratic. It's pretty broad. How they have
And got both
applied.
sides.
Yeah. I was trying to read through it.
There's a housing and neighborhood development that approved the block cameras.
Don't see what.
That helps, like.
I could see how that could happen, but this doesn't affect the environment.
I mean, it's AI, they use AI, so yeah, it does.
We're using
Flock,
AI.
Flock uses AI.
they impacted it negative for
But
that.
they use it not in a way that's like been fleshed out yet, so they were jumping in on. It's falsely created profiles through AI for people have been pulled over when it's not them. So
If
there's
they were, is that because of electricity years? or-
And the data centers.
data centers, I mean, AI is harmful in a lot of sustainable ways.
It's a stretch, alright,
It's not a stretch.
it's a stretch.
Lebanon is currently building another one. Their water is gonna be drawn from Indianapolis. It's sustainability is involved in a lot of it. But also sustainability, I just think includes our sustainability as well. Our safety, our well-being. But it's all ample, or at least in the right direction. So I think
Spinning down.
paying attention to how they move forward with it is important for everyone, I think, but also as a commission, and I think you guys make good points to maybe look up and find other options if they're going to continue to work with ALPRs, if there are other ones to present.
I think naturally, if the commission on sustainability is able to provide some input, I feel like we should
Okay.
leave more ground to do a similar thing.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll go with the lead stuff and get some more information, lead stuff, and get some more information on that, but yeah.
I can attempt to get more information on other companies.
Yeah,
For the next meeting.
I mean, even individually, I could look into some of the available money, right?
We could do a report on next time.
Yeah.
Okay. That sounds cool. Anything else anyone wants to talk about that? One, tax. Taxes. Yeah. Okay, we put in here plan for work group sessions. I don't know if we have a need for one right now and or the capacity with staffing. So maybe once we have more on our next meeting, if we go come with the reports on things that we ask questions about and kind of bring more things to the table to work on within the lead things, then we'll have potential for needing a work session around stuff.
I feel like we should vote on something while we have corn.
Well, we wrote an email.
So,
And yeah, if we can get whatever the RFP or RFI was that we used to engage with Flock, I can certainly review that. And I work in IT and tech. I've had a lot of experience going through this.
So we're talking words that are, I don't know what any of that is.
Like a request for proposal, request for information, it's a formal way to ask a company to bid, to put together, like, hey, here are 20 things that we want. Can you respond to those and say, this is how much we could cost, schedule, scope, resources to deploy, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Do we have any topics for future agendas? Besides the ones we are still working on?
Well, I wanted to come back to what you brought up about the case of the what seemed like an excessive response by the police department. And, you know, they went through the approval process and the police chief put out a statement talking about kind of what had happened step by step, but it still seems awfully excessive. When the police do call in and get special requests for the use of force like that, is there a follow-on review process to identify if it was done properly and if it was acceptable that they responded and if they did? Do we know that?
I don't know. We should find that out.
Yeah, I agree.
But moreover, the fact that the police went there shows us that they're still responding to domestic violence.
For sure.
And I kind of thought that wasn't supposed to be happening anymore, or they're supposed to be, I don't say moving away from.
I don't think I have anyone else to send. I don't think they have an
Yeah, I guess, I think if you call 911 and say, my wife almost stabbed me, it's probably gonna be the police that show up.
I think until there's actual steps and alternatives or different kind of workers hired into the system, I don't know.
And would they still, like, even, like, if they were fully staffed in that regard, would that person be training without police?
Because they have a weapon.
Does it have a weapon in house too? Yeah, what was it was the term that was on the research that, Isabel did where it was like, it went in, there's without, with, and, you know, as a backup kind of thing, there was like different versions of response that still had to involve the police, but then there was ways to navigate
Yeah.
approach, so,
Yeah, it would be interesting to learn about.
yeah, hopefully. we can Keep pushing them on the stride, so.
The drones sound odd. But thinking from a police, I don't know, just. It's better than them shooting down the door and going in, right? To. I think so.
So a search warrant was secured for the residence. The critical incident response team, CIRT, responded to the scene to take the woman into custody. A remotely piloted aerial vehicle was sent into the residence to locate. Once locating her in the living room, she struck the RAV down, knocking it out of the air. She then grabbed the RPAV and threw it against the wall, crushing, causing significant damage to the device. She was later taken into custody by members of the CIRT at approximately 10:30 p.m.
Which, if I'm having a really shitty day, if you send something flying in, me,
Yeah,
I'm not sure, I'm gonna respond in a positive manner either.
Right. And so it's this fascinating thing that you send in this drone that is aggressive.
Yeah, nice that you have this aggressive toy coming in at me, but I don't know how that really tilts the mood.
That's the key word, is toy.
Well, and I'm
Everyone
sure-
loves a new toy, and that's where, like, there should be some.
and I'm sure she's going to be charged the thousands of
Dollars
dollars
for the destruction of
for
property.
the destruction of police property.
Yeah. What was the drone supposed to do?
To give eyes to the police of what's going on inside before entering without risking themselves.
When it's something like that, it's, the individual doesn't know that, like drones are utilized nowadays for practically anything, right?
They can be loaded with all sorts of payloads.
Yeah, I mean, there's not like a piece of paper saying.
Also, this woman was having a psychotic.
Okay, it's like-
Yeah, I mean.
You're gonna send some alien looking thing flying into the room? How is that helpful?
And it probably broke the window,
I'm sure.
so I don't know what that is.
I mean, must have. I doubt she would have left the door open, so it must have.
Break the window, like these, there's a flimsy thing,
Not the, they can be hardened in ways to make them,
yeah,
the militarized versions of them are not as flimsy as the ones that.
that I would buy at Walmart.
I don't know.
So yeah, it's just a fascinating case. It seems
Yeah.
like this is a group that would like to know more about it.
Yeah, like how are these decisions made, like what are the parameters that. Make that, how they make the call, are we gonna send a drone, is this a good situation for sending a drone, is this like a.
With those sorts of, like, parameters when they're in a situation, would that extend beyond the general, like, information gathering they're gonna do about 911 calls? Or would that, because it's not the call directly, it's tangential to the call. Or-
Yeah, I don't know if we'll get, I don't know if we have to FOIA, the information of the critical response team. I don't know, how do you,
Cause I think it could be.
do you have
it's
any
very-
information on that?
So, right.
You guess.
It's curious to know, like, what does the crisis negotiation team do? Well, how do they escalate? How do they get involved with the the critical incident response team, the CIRT. What is that chain of command? Is there approvals required to do things like sending a drone in? Like,
I think there's a lot of information on the website that we've kind of touched into with that stuff, where they like have to, because of public information stuff. So I think if you dig in there as an IT person, when we were looking at it, it looked a little overwhelming to me, but maybe some of that stuff is in the police services, public reports and things that are on the city website.
yeah, they're meant to also be arduous to look at.
Yeah. So like the lawyer that used to be in this was like, oh, watch, I can do this, and then
Yeah.
it make them digestible, but it's gone. So you might be able to digest it better, so maybe that's something that
Yeah, for sure.
you could check in on and see what information you can gather and then report on.
Yeah,
next time.
That'd be great.
Cause then if we understand more about it, then maybe we can understand like how we could inform and or advise as a commission.
Especially to consider a separate process, the 911 procedure only, I mean, it ends at a point, even if the situation is ongoing. Because, I mean, the situation that happened, it must have started with a 911 call, but then at a point it transitioned when they got a warrant or whatever, so. It's not completely the same thing as the leak thing, so I think it could be great to look into it more.
Yeah, for sure. I can certainly, bring a report, maybe even a PowerPoint presentation. Or
I'll make it easy, yes. Or is it?
Okay.
stuff complex, yeah.
Like the next topic for a future thing as well. I think we're still working, hopefully we'll get back on the leak thing, and then we can have a couple more action steps or things to look into. And then I guess we'll see how the flop stuff unfolds, but I'll look more into if you wanna look into, so we have
Yeah, I'll take a look.
two versions of what the internet provided us. To see what people who, because I think if people are researching a lot about this stuff right now because of how FOC has harmed people. So I think there's gotta be some stuff we can look into and present. But actually, that's 3 items for the next time. Which is impressive. Which our next meeting is a calendar, I don't have one.
For the 21st.
Well,
1, 2, yeah, the 21st.
May 21st.
Yep.
And then if anybody has people, I've been trying to get people on with us. So I know we still have a couple vacancies, so if you've got people you think would be good to have in the room and or are interested, let's try to get them in here.
Okay.
Because the more the better,
Yeah.
more hands, and then we actually can start to section things off and figure some things out.
So maybe we can get big enough to have subcommittees.
Yeah, 21st, cool. Is everybody good for that one? More with each other? 21st is good? Okay.
I think I'll have to be virtual for that one.
Probably getting the membrane, but we'll still follow us.
That's the 21st of May.
Yes. Post graduation, we'll probably see what steps get taken after graduation from the fall and stuff. Okay. Anything else from anyone, or how we feeling?
The, common council, has that been released, that's recorded, right? Has that been?
Mhm. And I have another. We're making it fun. Okay, so I guess we can adjourn. How do we do that? Do we have to say anything, or?
Somebody needs to make a motion. Somebody needs to make a motion.
I motion that we adjourn the meeting.
I second it.
Yeah.
Sure, guys.
We're running.